Peace, family. So I'm back with another one. Today what I want to do is I wanted to talk to my chosen ones about how the opposition will try to control the way you communicate, And we all out here communicating consistently every day on a day-to-day basis. So we have to understand certain things about the beings who have took the steps to learn healthy communication tactics and the beings who just learned out what kind of communication works for them. You know what I mean? So this is one of them subjects where everyone's done had a situation where someone didn't either like what you said or how you said it, or the fact of you bringing it up at a certain time, But usually most of us who are operating in a more lightful, healthier space, even though we still go through our obstacles, we usually pretty aware of making sure that we are bringing things to people's light at an appropriate time. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the things that we don't really have an issue with. But what happens is most of us have been so invalidated while we were younger and we didn't have the technology and information. You didn't have the years of experience of walking life to validate you. You had to walk a life pretty solid in order to know that your thoughts, your spiritual realm process that you go through is more effective, more efficient than the ones that's been trying to control your communication. And some of these beings who have controlling communication thoughts, or the way they communicate outward is controlling, some of them don't even understand, because that's the household that they was brought up in. So if you had an occult-like household where, the mom was the dictator or the dad was the dictator, if you got mom and dad, then it just depends on the dynamic, But it's going to be a dictatorship. The house is ruled by fear. So these beings will always have a more difficult time trying to communicate outwardly. But the thing is, with us growing into these spaces that we in now, I know for me, so I have to know for the rest of the beings who think like me and process the way I do. We take these times and these situations as we are getting older to evaluate ourselves more and also make sure that we are mastering this situation as best as we possibly can. So that way when people are trying to give us this controlling communication, we understand where it's coming from, how it's happening, how it's operating. People use certain words to move you, Like, I know a lot of people like to use that statement, oh, well, I wanted to talk to you, but you mad. Or, I was about to talk to you, but you mad. Or, we was talking and then you got mad. That's a controlling form, because unless you've been operating in your light, then most likely it's a control tactic being used, because you're trying to tell somebody that they're mad. And usually if you operate from the healthier playbook, you're not even going to tell somebody how they feel unless you're trying to jab them. You know what I mean? So for me, I could know how somebody feel without saying it out loud. I don't have to say, oh, you're angry, or oh, you're mad, even though I can or I will occasionally, but that's something that I process and I know from within, So, and what also helps is when you have these engagements and you have other beings around, that can validate it as well too. And even if you don't, we still got the Most High who validates us. But I'm just saying, as far as being in this realm alone, when you aren't getting those validations and it's coming to you or being communicated to you more in a controlling tactic. So I know people like to use that, I'm not, you mad, or you're not listening to me. It's like, we have to understand that these things is just to get us to operate the way that they want us or need us to operate. And my thing is, at this point in time, it's like, anybody that's known me for a portion or all of my life know that I don't do things with ill intentions, but they know I'm pretty solid if I gotta go put in some work. I'd be laughing and joking 24/7, but if a situation occurs, then I'm going to stand. That's just how it is, So just understanding these things is huge, because I had some other beings try to use their control and communication tactics on me, and what happened was they didn't like the tone of my voice. They didn't like how the vibration was being raised and being projected, So it's like, when I communicate with people, I know the things to say and not to say that would possibly raise somebody. And then sometimes I don't care. I just want to be honest. You know, if I address something in a manner that seems really unorthodox, even though I am unorthodox, it's for a special purpose. So just understanding these things is always detrimental in the communication process. So for me, it took a long time to kind of get to this space to understanding that a lot of people are using the same tactics. If you knew me 5 years ago, 7 years ago, you know, and you communicated with me one way, and then 7 years later, you still communicate with me the same way, but making it seem as though I've shifted. Actually, the universe gave me more validity. That's why I've been up here in front of you guys, you know, doing this right here, trying to help and heal and reach as many people as possible. It slowed down a lot this past transition because I had a lot of stuff going on, which I'll dive into on my live stream. I'm gonna go live later this week. You know, I'm gonna start doing a whole bunch of these more lives, you know. But just understanding, like, you don't have to conform to a certain communication because people want to communicate how or in a manner that feels better to them or more appeasing to them, opposed from and taking the knowledge and information, especially if you've been getting it from all the wrong sources or places previously. You know what I mean? So if you really want to grow and you really want to learn, you're going to take the ideas and you're going to use those to your benefit. Somebody told me I was a shitty communicator. I had my old co-host tell me that. He tried to make fun of me in an argument. It wasn't really an argument, but we had one of those sit downs where it just was going back and forth, and he made one statement like, oh, you don't even know how to screen record. And I couldn't argue with him because I didn't. And it was really stupid, silly, and petty. But he made a good, valid point. Shit, I don't. And it's like, damn, this nigga gonna slap me with that little weak-ass shit. I made sure that night and the next day I figured out how to screen record. So he wouldn't be able to use that same ammunition on me. You know what I mean? So just understanding, like, communication is a huge part of how we operate out here, you know? Even if you're not talking, you're still communicating to other beings. So you have to hold yourself and understand, like, the more you trust in the Most High, the more you are going to be covered. The only trick with that is we don't have all the answers for the spirit realm, you know. So a lot of things be seeming really hard and really tough, and it's like, oh my God, I don't even know if I'm even gonna make it through this process. What it be feeling like, you know? And then I have never been in a situation where I didn't believe in the Most High. I've always believed in the Most High and the Creator, even when times was as hard as they possibly can get, you know what I mean? And the Creator always made a way, you know? So for me, I always been, and I know other beings who process like me, we walk around and we have more joy and light in our heart, but what we have to do is we have to fucking put up all these armors and sensory systems and all these walls and barriers, so then it kind of almost not really numb us, but it make us push our feelings off to the side a little bit, you know what I'm saying? And our feelings is what connect us to this realm, but your feelings are not always facts, you know? Your feelings aren't going to lead you to all the most logical answers all the time. You're supposed to use your feelings as like a recipe. Everything is a recipe, you know what I mean? I always like to emphasize this. Everything is a recipe. I can get some weird energy from somebody, right? But if they start moving in a different light, because that was me. Say I just read somebody and I got weird energy. Then I go engage with them and it's like, oh, they move in the same way I move. They're just, because their process is unorthodox like mine, you have to weave through the yarn ball to really understand what's going on. Everybody that move unorthodox isn't operating with the witchy side. You know what I mean? There's a lot of unorthodox beings like me that just follow the creation and follow the flow. You know, we flow like the river. So once you start getting to a better space and knowing that it's a lot of beings that's using certain words and phrases and compounding and putting these things together to kind of control the way the communication goes, it'll help you, you know, to either use your own experience in life to kind of help push you forward, you know, in that communication process, so you know that, all right, well, I'm not mad, they just taking my communication is that way. You know, they're just trying to be really weird or do some other stuff. But once you start understanding these things, it'll allow you to be able to manage the situation better. It'll allow you to be able to manage your emotions, your energy and motion. You know what I'm saying? Somebody accuse you of being mad and you ain't mad. Sometimes you may get riled up when you wasn't riled up. You know what I mean? So just kind of being aware of these things is huge, you know. So I just wanted to come up here and drop a little something slight down, you know what I mean? So we will be doing some live streams this week. We will have a lot more going on this week. So it's just been a lot of adjustments being made, you know. So we will get into all of that as the live streams come, but y'all just keep in tune. I appreciate all the love and support, you know what I mean? I wouldn't even be in this space if it wasn't for y'all, you know? I've been doing this content, but people wasn't watching. The universe created a space, you know what I mean? They like, you've been standing pretty solid, fighting this fight before I sent you this digital validation from all over the world. You know what I mean? I've been standing in this position, in this energy before I was doing this content. So you guys just help give me more validity while I'm out here fighting these judges and all these other court places and these big ass higher up people and people that's around me that just don't want to remove that playbook. You know what I mean? But tap into everything down below. Peace and love to the kings and queens.